good. Go for it. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, keep going. Keep breath. Deep breath.
Have your friends correct your records and change your number.
Deep breath.
Guess I haven't need that though. Now you're just somebody that I used to know.
Breathe. Know what magic you're producing?
Somebody that I used to know.
How did you do that? How did you do that? How did you do that?
How you going? Allesandro? Nice to meet you.
Allesandro, how did you do that?
I don't know.
You produced him out of thin air.
Nice to meet you.
It's Wally.
How you going?
Good.
He's been working hard, Wally.
It sounds like it. Sounds
He's
great.
been working really hard, hasn't he?
Nice to see you.
Oh,
yeah.
thanks for coming.
No worries.
I thought I'd give you a bit of enthusiasm and a bit of encouragement for your singing. I told you. he thought that we were just recording him for a YouTube clip.
I heard.
And
which is also good.
but he does. He wants to do some professional singing.
Great, man. Awesome.
Oh.
You got any questions? You got a good opportunity to ask a good question here.
Have you been on world tour?
Yeah, not since February though. We finished touring in February.
Oh, where'd you go?
We toured to America a lot and Canada, and also spent a lot of time in Europe and Asia. Yeah, which was cool. We didn't get to South America, which I wanted to visit, but maybe another time.
Will you go back there?
What's
Where
that?
would you like to go in South America?
I'm going back to America shortly, but that's for recording and research and stuff. So yeah, touring is really fun in America because you tend to go in a big bus, and so with your band and crew, you kind of drive overnight. You've got a bus driver; he drives you. Once you finish the gig, you wake up in a new city, so you don't have to like sit in a van all day, which can sometimes get a bit boring if you're driving during the day with your band. So that's pretty cool about America.
And how do you look after your voice when you're touring? If you get a cold or something, for example.
Yeah, which I have at the moment.
Yeah.
I had one moment. In 2 years, I was pretty lucky, I reckon. I got one bad cold when I was in Poland, and I had to do about 3 shows where I really considered whether I'd cancel them or not. But I decided not to, and one was really tough. One I was on stage, like literally shivering and just feeling horrible. And struggling, vocally, but really putting it in. And then people told me afterwards they could tell sort of my voice was rough, but they couldn't tell I was sick, so I guess I covered it.
You felt like crap inside.
Oh yeah, I felt the worst I'd ever felt on stage or possibly off it as well. It was such a bad flu. In the end, I don't usually take antibiotics. Like I don't tend to go to the doctor because I feel like doctors tend to prescribe antibiotics too readily. But in this case, I was like, I can't be sick for 2 weeks on tour. I'm going to mess up too many shows. So I had to go to the doctor and get antibiotics, and I got better in about 3-4 days. But yeah, it's it takes some planning. You've got to think about what's happening with your voice. It's like. Yeah. I'm not much of a party animal anyway, but you've got to think about it. Like, if you don't get sleep, your voice just doesn't survive.
And how long do you have to sing on stage for?
We were doing 1.5 hours every night, so that's quite a while.
So you know how hard it is when we're doing this to get it right. You just go through this song once and you're a bit puffed out because you've given it everything you've got.
It's pretty high. I find that song tough to sing. Like that was a song. Every time I'd come up in the set, I'd be like, okay.
And you have to put it at the end. Probably.
We'd play it sort of 3/4 of the way through, which is good because it just fitted musically about 3/4 of the way through the set. So it would I don't really like it when bands put their big hit right at the end. It's like they're making the audience wait for it.
Yeah.
I feel like it draws too much attention.
Frustrating.
But
it's frustrating for the audience as well, isn't it, a bit?
Well, you know what? Some people in America left the show after we played the song 3/4 of the way through. It's like, well, I've had enough.
I've heard the song. I've come to see. I've eaten the sandwich. Now I'm going home.
That was on the first tour. That was clearly people who were not really fans who were just kind of like, I like that song.
Who weren't interested in what else you were trying to say.
Yeah, the next tour felt different. Nobody was leaving shows the next tour, and the audiences were sometimes bigger, but sometimes smaller. But they felt like more interested in what we were doing, which was good.
How did you come up with the song?
How did I come up with it? Well, do you know much music software, like for recording on laptops and computers? There's a piece of software from Germany called Ableton Live, which I really love, which is what I use to make music on. And I've used different bits of software over the years, but this software, Ableton Live, I've been using for about 4 or 5 years. and so I record most of my stuff into there. I don't know if you know much about sampling. So sampling is like taking existing bits of sound, whether from like an old record or an old tape or a CD, or just sound in the world. It could be, could be putting a microphone next to a friend of yours down the street, or surprising, or just it can be all sorts of things. So kind of just taking any bit of sound and then messing with it and putting it in a different place. So that's kind of how I kind of make my music. So somebody I used to know is made by taking lots of little bits of sound from old records, from instruments that I play, but only little bits of them, like not playing a whole part, just taking little notes, and then putting them together on the computer. Yeah, so...
There's lots you can do. I mean, it's interesting how things happen, isn't it?
Yeah.
What about the story? How did the story happen? Is it like, do you get halfway through it and then go, I finished it and I don't know what I can do?
I wrote the song really in a linear way, like from start to finish. Whereas sometimes I write songs like in a puzzle. Sometimes when I put songs together like that in music software, it can be like a puzzle, like where you come up with one part and it turns out to be the end of the song, or it turns out to be the chorus, and then you come up with the start and you shift things around. But in this case, I wrote the song very much start to finish. But I got about 3/4 of the way through, basically to the end of where I sing in the song, and I kind of didn't know what to do. I was like, I don't have anything else to say with this character or this lyric. If I go back to the chorus, it just feels not very interesting. So that's, it took about 2-3 weeks of mulling over it and thinking about it, and then I went, that's it, it needs the other part of the story. It needs somebody to be the other part of the story. So that's when I started looking for female vocalists.
Because we might start to do some writing with some of the students here, because they've got a website at the shop.
Oh, great.
So what they'll do is they'll put, this is going to actually happen, what we were pretending was going to happen, but what we're going to do is we're going to get, once the kids are up to a certain level with their song, then they're going to put their performance up.
Yeah, great.
And then we might put some original songs, we might do some original recording. So you've got some very good insight now on how we can write, maybe we can write a song together, and you start coming up with some ideas and stories about what you want to talk about. Because that's the best thing about the whole thing. It's about doing your own story.
Yeah.
Wally told his story, and something amazing happened. There are lots of songs out there which are all full of amazing stories and books and things. So it's just about telling your story. So we'll work on that. We'll work on that with all of them, and then maybe they'll do a show at the end of the year.
Oh, cool.
I think you are doing a show, aren't you?
Great.
Where's that going to be on?
I don't know, but I've got 2 songs then. Have you met any famous people? Like Bruno Mars?
Well, you met me.
I didn't meet Bruno Mars. I saw him at the Grammys. He did a really good performance at the Grammys.
Oh, did he? What song?
It was like a medley with him and other artists. Like Sting from The Police came on and sang "Message in a Bottle," and then it kind of segued into Bruno Mars's big hit, "Locked Out of Heaven." And so then it segued into something else that I don't remember, into actually like a ska reggae band that I didn't know. So it was like a 3-part arrangement where each vocalist kept being a surprise on stage. They do that a lot at the Grammys. They like to put artists and singers together to do new arrangements of their songs.
Did they put them together with anybody?
Me? I didn't perform.
You didn't?
No, I wasn't invited to perform. Which was kind of okay, because I performed the song with Kimbra or with other vocalists, or sometimes without. Like sometimes I asked the audience to sing Kimbra's part if I didn't have a guest vocalist, which worked really well, so that they just take up the part. But I sung the song quite a few times on TV programs in the States, and a few high pressure situations, like where you had one chance to get it right. And I was glad that I didn't have to perform at the Grammys, because it was just a chance to enjoy it and meet a bunch of people and hang out.
Without too many people, billions of people watching it.
Well, we're still really busy. Lots of media. That's one thing you never quite expect how much media there is.
It's ridiculous.
On that day, actually, my main memory of it is how much media I did, because it was hours, just one person and group and TV camera and microphone after another. It's really endless though. Like the red carpet they have at the Grammys is not so much just a red carpet that you go down with people photographing you. I mean, there's a few sections where they get you to stop and pose and take photos, but a lot of it they have the media, television stations and radio stations, and all these people set up along it. So you can take about 3 hours if you want to talk to everybody who wants to talk to you on the red carpet.
And they've all got their little spot.
They're all broadcasting live onto their particular station or TV station, whatever. So that was actually quite tiring. I didn't quite expect it would be that much work.
Get me in there and give me a drink or a cup of tea.
My publicist was quite keen, I guess, for me and Kimber to get in front of some cameras and
Of course, yeah. Of course.
Because it was a big occasion, so...
So
And then I guess we won a bunch of awards, so that was kind of more media. And then you go backstage and talk to more media about, what's it like to win this award and what are you going to do next? After, because we won 2 kind of lesser awards, other awards before the Record of the Year award, which is in a separate ceremony. They kind of have the big main Grammy ceremony, which goes for about 3 hours. But before that, they have a separate auditorium where they have about 90 other Grammy awards that they give out, like for best album artwork. Yeah, some of the genres unincluded, classical music, best engineer, or things like that. So we were in 2 categories in that pre-awards, which was best alternative album, best pop duo vocal performance. And when we won the first one of that, which was best alternative album, and I didn't really expect to win that because there were lots of amazing artists in that list, people I really like Björk. Tom Waits was in the list, all these other people. When we won that award, I had this feeling, it was like, I reckon there's a chance that we could win the others, and it turns out we did. So
that must have been a great feeling.
Yeah, it was pretty, it was just all so
surreal,
alien,
probably quite surreal.
Yeah.
Looking around and
especially with Prince on stage at the main awards.
Is he good?
Yeah, I mean...
Did you meet him?
I didn't really get to chat to him. Do you know Prince's music?
Is he tiny?
He's very short.
How small is he?
Everybody knows that. Yeah, well, he's like 5 foot.
Is he tiny? That small?
Yeah,
he's tiny.
He's very short, but he has an aura about him. Like there's an energy. I mean, I think it's because I'm a huge fan of Prince, so I was kind of a bit overwhelmed just going up on stage to And he had a really lovely smile. I mean, when he announced the award, it was really cool. He said, he opened the envelope and said, "Oh, I love this song." Which was pretty sweet. I was like, I don't need to speak to him, that's enough for me.
I'll take that to my grave now, that'll be alright. So you see Iggy, even people who are doing something in the mainstream have people that they look at and go, I grew up on that. You know, Wally grew up on another artist that you didn't know and holds him in high regard. Everyone's like that, it's just like a big ladder. It goes on and on and on.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily go up.
No.
It goes in all directions. There's a lot of people whose music that I really love that are really not famous at all, probably will never be famous, and they're not even particularly popular with their music, but I think they're really a genius and what they do is really special, and I kind of, in a way, I really admire them more for working on their craft when they really struggle, and they struggle to make money, or they struggle to get a budget for a recording. I think that's the most admirable thing, when they have, like Paul said, that they have their story they want to tell, or they have lots of stories and they want to make music and they just keep doing it. That's really inspiring for me.
Thousands of them. So never, ever, ever, ever give up. That would be a good message, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Never, ever give up and see what happens, and you just got to keep doing it and just enjoy it and just tell your story.
Do you have favourite singers that you like listening to, or whose songs you like singing? Nice. Bruno Mars. Yeah, cool. He's got a great voice. Very big range. He sings pretty high. I mean, as do I in a song like that. It's pretty high. I wouldn't have been able to sing like that.
How high is it? What's the note? What's the highest note in that?
Somebody. What's that?
B flat.
It's in D minor. Yeah.
B flat.
Yeah, B flat. That's quite high. I can possibly sing a few notes higher, but that's getting towards the absolute top of my range. Okay.
Can we do the chorus once together?
Yeah.
Do you want to do the chorus? Can we do it? Should we do it once together?
Alright.
Alright,
let's do it. Do some harmonies.
Alright, let's do it. You ready?
Didn't have to cut me off. Thank God I could never happen. Now we were nothing. God, I didn't need your love. You treat me like a stranger and I feel so rough. No, you didn't have to stoop so low. Have your friends collect your records and change your number. I guess that I don't need that though. Now you need somebody that I used to know. Somebody. Now you're somebody that I used to know.
Hey! Leaves you out of breath.
You did it! He has got a strong voice, hasn't he? He belts
Setting yourself a challenge.
He belts it out. Well, he chose bravely, I think.
Yeah. You know what I found a really big challenge every time I'd sing that song is because it's got such a big jump, because it's very soft and
more
it's
almost whispered,
yeah. So a lot of it when we play it live really relies on the microphone. Like, it's all about microphone technique. Like, I mean, if you were singing the song acoustically, everyone would have to be so still to hear, like, now and then I think of wind. It's very internal, it's like reflective, it's looking inward, but so, you know, how you use the microphone very closely is really important. And then it gets at least an octave up in the chorus and higher, so using, you know much about have you done much about microphone technique? Like, you know,
show what you mean. Show what you mean.
It's like, this is something you'll hear more if you have a microphone plugged into a PA system. But have you ever done it, you know, where it starts to feel really muffly, like if you get too close, or
like,
yeah, or do water stilts if you're putting too much energy into it. That one of those things is called proximity effect, as in like the proximity, how close you are to the microphone. Sometimes that can be really good, like on recordings. Sometimes proximity effect is really beautiful. It actually gives you like the warmth and texture of someone's voice, especially when they're singing low. But sometimes when it's too much, it gives you that kind of, you know, can't understand what's going on, muffly, no clarity kind of sound. But, you know, so for the soft stuff, you know, I might sing right up on the mic, but just, you know, like 5 centimeters away. But then at times, you know, jumping to the chorus, I'd often be, you know, you didn't have to cut me off. Kind of work the microphone. Doing bigger notes, you can either move the microphone away from your mouth, or you can just sing over it or away from it a bit. Because you got to kind of, if you're aware of how some of your notes are much louder than others.
Maybe we could try that by setting a PA up in here and actually starting to work on a bit of mic technique would be a good thing.
It's really different than hearing your voice acoustically. I really love singing acoustically, like especially, I don't know if you know the other band I play with, The Basics, my 2 friends, Chris and Tim. Sometimes we do little acoustic things, we just play totally acoustic, like 2 acoustic guitars, 3 voices, no microphones. And I love that because you just balance with your voices naturally. But when you get a microphone and a PA system in a room or in a venue, it's very different.
Ball game, isn't it?
It takes some getting used to singing in that environment.
One of the pupils from here, who was a pupil before, Allesandro, turned up at the jam night yesterday night and she sang a Queen song.
Wow.
And she sang Somebody to Love.
Somebody to Love. Yeah.
And she's got a really powerful voice, but she hasn't quite got the mic technique yet. She was